The rain fell in heavy sheets, drumming against the rooftops and turning the streets into glistening rivers of light. Puddles rippled under the glow of street lamps, and water rushed through the gutters, gurgling as it carried leaves and debris away. The town was quiet, save for the patter of raindrops and the occasional car splashing through the wet streets. A lone dog, thin and ragged, trotted through the downpour. His coat, once golden and thick, was matted and soaked through, clinging to his ribs. His ears drooped, and his tail hung low as he wandered in search of shelter. He'd been astray for as long as he could remember. Maybe there had been a time when he belonged to someone, when warm hands had scratched behind his ears and a gentle voice had called his name. But that time was long gone, buried beneath endless nights of cold and hunger. Tonight was worse than most. The rain seeped into his bones, and the wind howled through the alleyways. He needed a place to rest, even just for a little while. His paws splashed through a puddle as he trotted toward a row of shops, their windows glowing warmly against the dark. He sniffed at the door of a bakery, lured by the scent of fresh bread lingering from the day. He scratched at the door, but no one came. He whined softly, his breath fogging against the glass. A shadow moved inside, and for a moment, hope flickered in his chest. But the door never opened. The figure inside glanced at him, then turned away. The lights flickered off. The shop was closed. The dog lowered his head and backed away. He moved on, his paws growing heavier with every step. He passed a cafe, but the chairs were stacked inside. They were closed. He tried the hardware store next, curling up beneath the awning, but a gust of wind sent cold water cascading down from the roof, soaking him all over again. His journey led him to a gas station on the edge of town. A man stood under the overhang, smoking a cigarette and watching the rain. The dog hesitated before stepping forward, wagging his tail just slightly. "Hey, get out of here," the man grunted, waving a hand. "No dogs hanging around." The dog's tail stopped wagging. He turned and slunk away, his ribs aching from hunger, his paws raw from the rough pavement. He didn't know how long he walked. The streets blurred together in the rain. All he knew was that he was tired of running, tired of searching. And then, just as he was ready to give up, he heard something, a soft voice calling for the storm. "Hey, doggy." The dog stopped. A boy stood on the sidewalk, bundled up in a raincoat, his small hands clutching a red umbrella. He couldn't have been more than 7 or 8, his face round and full of kindness. He took a cautious step forward. "You okay, buddy?" the boy asked, his voice gentle. The dog didn't move. People had called to him before, but it usually ended in shouts or thrown objects. He had learned to be wary. But the boy didn't shout. He didn't throw anything. He just knelt in the wet grass, holding out a hand. "You look real cold." The dog's legs trembled beneath him. He wanted to run, but he also wanted to stay. The boy rummaged in his pocket and pulled out something small and wrapped in crinkled paper. He unwrapped it carefully, revealing half of a peanut butter sandwich. "You hungry?" The dog took a cautious step forward. He sniffed the air. Peanut butter. His stomach growled. "It's okay," the boy murmured. "I won't hurt you." The dog inched closer. He sniffed the boy's hand before gently taking the sandwich between his teeth. It was the best thing he had tasted in days. The boy grinned. "See? You're a good boy." The dog swallowed the last bite and licked his lips. The boy giggled. "Come on, I bet you're freezing." Before the dog could react, the boy shrugged off his raincoat and draped it over him. It was warm, still holding the boy's body heat. The dog's eyes widened. No one had ever done something like this for him before. The boy stood and held out his hand again. "You want to come home with me?" The dog hesitated, his heart pounding. Could he trust this? Could he trust him? But the boy's eyes were bright and full of kindness, and his hand was steady. The dog took a step forward, then another, and then, just like that, he was following the boy down the street, through the rain, towards something he had never known before. The house was warm and smelled like cinnamon and soap. The boy led the dog inside, carefully, closing the door behind them. The dog stood in the entryway, dripping rainwater onto the hardwood floor. He looked around, ears low, ready to be chased out at any moment. "Mom, Dad," the boy called. Footsteps echoed down the hall, and then 2 adults appeared. A tall man with tired eyes and a woman in a thick sweater holding a towel. They both stopped short when they saw the dog. "Benji," the woman said slowly. "What is that?" The boy, Benji, stood up straight. "He's a dog, Mom." "I can see that," she said, folding her arms. "Why is he in our house?" Benji took a deep breath. "Because he was outside and he was cold and no one wanted him. But I want him." The man, Benji's father, rubbed his face. Buddy, we can't just bring home strays. Why not? Benji's voice was quiet but firm. He's a good dog, he's nice, and he didn't have anywhere to go. The parents exchanged a look. The dog stood still, waiting, heart pounding. Then the woman sighed. Well, he's not staying in the house like this. He's soaked. She knelt down, holding out the towel. Come here, sweetheart. The dog's ears perked up. Sweetheart? No one had ever called him that before. Slowly, cautiously, he stepped forward. The woman smiled and gently began to dry him off. He is a good boy, she murmured, running the towel over his damp fur. Benji beamed. Can we keep him? The father hesitated, but then he looked at the dog, at the way he leaned into the warmth of the towel, the way his ribs showed through his fur, the way his tail wagged just slightly for the first time. The man sighed. Well, I guess we could see how he does. Benji let out a triumphant cheer. The dog blinked, trying to understand. He had spent so long searching, running, hiding, but now standing here, wrapped in warmth and kindness, he realized something. He had found home. Thanks for tuning in to Fireside Stories. Before you leave, remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you the next time that we all gather around the fire.